It's on the meeting tonight, so tomorrow morning they'll be ready. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Yep. Thank you.
How are you?
See you.
See you?
Cause trouble tonight?
Trying not to.
Yeah, I'm hoping to. Not good for the front pages. We're live right now, actually. Yeah, we have 23 people still watching. And they're staring at me. I have just pointed right up here right now. Yeah, it's pretty black shot. You should actually log on and watch it like put your phone around so you can see it. Penn Hill's on YouTube. All right, good luck.
Thanks.
Check, check. 1, 2, 1, 2.
you? Good. Hello.
I'm going to put you on speaker, okay?
And
Can you hear me?
Yeah, the meeting has started.
Okay. Yes, Carl. Right.
Hello, the meeting hasn't started yet.
okay,
I'm calling you, but,
I'm ready now. Are you?
um,
Good evening to everyone in the audience and to those of you out there watching us through live stream. We will have to amend the agenda this evening. We are going to move number 9H to the top of the agenda. There are personal family reasons that that item has to be moved to the beginning of the agenda. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First of all, I do apologize for the delay in starting. We were in a conference that was pursuant to the Sunshine Act. We will always try to be at 7 o'clock sharp. It was unavoidable this evening, though. Thank you very much for your understanding. Roll call, please.
Mayor Calabrese,
Present.
Councilman Petrucci,
Here.
Councilman Getzey. Present. Deputy Mayor Sapp,
Present.
Councilman Pecora.
Present.
Moving to 9H on the agenda, may I get a motion for resolution number 2020-0110?
Mayor, I make a motion for resolution number 2020-019, the reappointment of Joe Tamburino to the zoning hearing board for a term ending 12/31/2023.
Thank you, Councilman. May I get a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Deputy Mayor Sapp,
Yes.
Councilman Pecora,
Yes.
Mayor Calabrese,
Yes.
Councilman Petrucci,
Scott, I'm having a little hard time hearing. What are we voting on?
Councilman, we're voting on Resolution 2020-10. It's 9H to reappoint Joe Tamburino to the Zoning Hearing Board.
Thank you. Yes.
Councilman Getzey.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries.
Congratulations, Mr. Tamburino. Thank you for your service. At this time, Ms. Fitzhenry, would you please take the microphone? We would like to move to the special recognitions. Thank you.
Mayor and Council and members of the audience, we're here this evening to recognize two of the Penn Hills paramedics per a recommendation from our Fire Marshal, Chuck Miller, for a fire that occurred on Highland View Street in the Lincoln Park section of Penn Hills a few weeks back. We arrived on scene, all three ambulances and myself, so we had plenty of medical personnel available for the call. The first due engine arrived slightly understaffed, and since the majority of my staff are cross-trained not only as paramedics but also as firefighters, they offered assistance. I permitted them to jump into their bunker gear and to go ahead and take the fire line from the truck into the house, and they were able to get the initial knockdown on the fire. Chuck recommended this commendation because it's a little over and above what they would normally do, but as I said, since they do have the dual training, we're always available to help out in a tight situation. And they both did a great job at getting the knockdown on the fire, and they were able to save the residents. You know, the people who have been displaced, it initially came in with a fire with entrapment, and there were a couple of adults and about 6 children initially. We did lose a family dog in the process, but all of the human occupants were able to get out of the house. And Mike Norkus and Bill Bierman were the two paramedics that assisted the fire departments in getting the fire knocked down. So at this time, they can step up to the podium. I believe you have some type of certificate for them. So we'll go from there.
We certainly do.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your service. Mr. Mayor. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you so
Appreciate it.
much.
Lovely mayor. Thank you.
Can we get some photos? Is your are your any family members here?
You're tall.
So proud to have you in our service. Thank you so very much. As we are doing recognitions, I would like to point out that we have a student athlete among us, and her name is Colleen Houlihan. Colleen broke the record for the 100-yard breaststroke that stood for 36 years. She has been within 1 second since her freshman year and made it her goal to break this record this year by spending more time practicing. She is a lifelong Penn Hill student who is enrolled in honors and AP classes and has maintained high honor roll throughout the 4 years of high school. She also plays varsity volleyball and softball. She works in dining services, Presbyterian Senior Care, and is a lifeguard at Rosedale. It is so difficult, Colleen, we recognize, to do all of this, and it is such an honor to be among you. I'm going to step over here at the microphone. Stay up here, please. It is so awesome, you know, when you think about this, because the record that she broke was by an individual who was had gone to the Olympics. And, you know, the school district certainly will recognize her as well. They should. We are a municipality that is a school district as well. We're not like some other places, like Fox Chapel. They encompass many municipalities. But I think it's really, really important to notice the hard work that went into this, and at the same time, she maintained her academics. This is really, really something that we all need to be proud of. I don't care if Colleen ever goes to the Olympics. As far as I'm concerned, she's a gold medalist for us. Thank you so much. You come up here and get in the picture, please. Sure, let's go. Go ahead. I'm new with this too.
Good evening. The Municipality of Penn Hills has designated this portion of the agenda for public comment for those residents who have signed up a week in advance to address council. Speakers are reminded to stay within the subject matter they have signed up for. Comments are limited to 3 minutes. When your name is called, please approach the podium and speak closely into the microphone so your comments can be heard and recorded. Minister Dennis.
Good evening, Mayor and distinguished council and audience. Minister Marita Dennis is my name, and my address is 118 McFarland Drive, Pittsburgh 15235. I want to thank you for allowing me this opportunity to address something I've been up here before, and that's the Sewage Hike, the rates of that and the water. It's no secret that we have the highest in the country. I just learned that recently for our sewage rates. And I did present the signed resolution the last time I was at this podium. Mr. Attorney, Scott Andrzejczyk, are you attorney? I can't remember. Mr. Andrzejczyk, are you an attorney? Okay. So I want to give honor to whom honor is due. Gave me a call and told me about all that he had done for this particular project on January 27th of this year. And while I appreciate all that he tried to bring to my attention, I want us as leaders to always be open to hear what our people that we serve have to offer. And so that's why I'm here tonight. We, as leaders, don't know everything, so I want to propose a couple of items tonight that I believe God has given me to offer to the council tonight. One of which Mr. Andrzejczyk mentioned to me was that I mentioned about the third-party billing. If you all recall, about a year and a half ago, Deputy Mayor, you remember that? Okay. And I heard Mr. Andrzejczyk, I don't want to butcher your name, Andrzejczyk said to me, he said he would have to train some people to do the billing. I'm trying to get rid of that third-party billing through the Wilkinsburg Penn Joint Water Authority. So what I want to present to you guys is volunteers for our municipality for billing, and to offer the training that Attorney Andrzejczyk mentioned. And I'm willing to volunteer. In fact, I did some homework, and there are others who are willing to volunteer to help with the billing, whether it be monthly, bi-monthly, or quarterly. Secondly, one of the key components in our billing, which might help, and I mentioned this to Mr. Anthony Source several years ago. He serves with the Wilkinsburg Penn Joint Water Authority. I mentioned to him about maybe causing our billing cycle to go, mine was as high as 30.
I'm sorry, could you please wrap up?
Yes, 34 days. My proposal is to maybe do the billing cycle from 25 to 28 days, or even 28 to 29 days, run in there, which will help lessen our bills. So that's my proposal. Maybe that will help defray some of the costs in our municipality. If I had the money, I'd give that $1 million, and whatever we are in debt, if I had it, I would give it tonight, I promise you. By the way, Mayor, it's really an honor to meet you officially. I saw you at Bishop Kincaid's building dedication. I voted for you, and I'm just looking forward to whatever God has to do in this time in our municipality through you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that, and I'm
Yes.
looking forward to it as well.
Thank you for your time, everyone.
you.
Thank you.
Natalie Wisman.
Good evening, Council, fellow Penhillians, and let me take a moment to thank Mayor Calabrese for suggesting I come out tonight after our great conversation. My name is Natalie Wisman. I'm a lifelong Penn Hills resident, class of '03, a homeowner and concerned taxpayer. I'm here tonight to speak to the Council specifically regarding the billing practices of the Oakmont Water Authority. While I could spend hours speaking about the many issues that I have with this utility company, for tonight I have a limited time and I want to stick to this very specific issue. Oakmont provides a quarterly bill. We live in a household with 3 adults and 2 children. We're average people who try to minimize our water usage. In one quarter, our typical bill averages about $550. For what it's worth, that's close to my monthly mortgage payment. Typically, the water bill will arrive between the 31st and the 3rd of the month and is due in full by the 18th of the month to avoid paying any additional charges. Let me slow down and reiterate that very important point. Customers have approximately 15 days to pay a 3-month bill in full to avoid paying additional charges. The water company needs an entire quarter to prepare this bill, but expects customers in a moderate and low-to-income area to be able to pay the bill in full in about 2 weeks to avoid paying additional charges. From what I have been able to calculate, the charges average about 5% of the bill. In some senses, this could be considered predatory, as many customers are not able to reasonably avoid the fee. The next problem with quarterly bills is customers are not able to monitor and adjust their consumption. Over the summer, myself and many other residents received outrageous water bills. My bill in particular was over $1,000 for a quarter, which again, I had approximately 15 days to pay in full to avoid paying additional charges. When working with a very uncooperative office, they determined that our meter was broken. However, unless we were willing to pay out of pocket to send their meter to their chosen testing company, they stood by their reading. Eventually, we paid the bill after receiving our one-time leak allowance, but if we had received monthly bills, we could have identified the issue earlier, and based on my estimations, using our average usage, saved hundreds of dollars. Let me remind the Council that many Penn Hills residents are on a fixed income that are slightly above to below the poverty level. I was blessed to be able to pay this bill in full with minimal impact to my budget, but many residents would have found this catastrophic. My neighbor had a similarly high water bill and had to take out a loan to keep the water on for her children. Another issue presented with quarterly water bills is the shut-off practice. Because the bill is due in full in 2 months, even if you do opt to pay the fee to break the bill down, the water company considers the bill delinquent after the 2nd month. So by the end of the billing cycle, or the 18th of the 3rd month, the water company will shut off your water. Recently, many customers had their water shut off and were charged an additional $75 to restore their water due to confusion with the water company's hours. This was all before the next bill was prepared and sent. Monthly bills would eliminate this, as it would be clear when the bill was past due, and you would not be required to pay a 3-month bill in 2 months to avoid additional fees, potential loss of service, even more fees, as well as rude and threatening treatment from the staff at the water company. So I'm here before the Council to ask what we need to do to be billed monthly by Oakmont Water. Quarterly bills present many problems, and the residents of Penn Hills who are serviced by Oakmont Water deserve better. I am here and willing to help do whatever legwork, from coming here tonight to raise the issues, to gathering signatures, to whatever else I can do to help. I cannot request a change to all of the billing of Penn Hills by myself, so I ask the Council to take on this issue for the residents of Penn Hills that are serviced by Oakmont Water, and I look forward to hearing what can be done to fix this issue and working with you to accomplish it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We will look into that. Approval of the minutes for January 13, 2020.
Mayor Calabrese?
I'd like to make a motion that we accept the minutes of January 13, 2020.
I have one comment. Thank you, Deputy Mayor Sapp. May I get a second?
Second.
Before we vote, I would like to just clarify the minutes relating to my comments. In the updated version, it states there that I was not offended, quote, at all by the publication. I just would like to clarify that I was not offended by my personal depiction. Having said that, roll call.
I can make that change.
Let the record reflect that the manager just said that he will make that change.
You're just clarifying what your comments were. You're not saying that the minutes didn't accurately reflect what you said, right?
I think that there was an omission.
Okay, so then we'll do it with the amendment.
Yes, I would like it to be amended. May we move to roll call?
Councilman Petrucci?
Yes.
Councilman Getzey?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sapp?
Yes.
Councilman Pecora?
Yes.
Mayor Calabrese?
Yes.
Yeah, motion carried.
May I get a motion for approval of expenditures? Do we need public comment for that?
I make a
Any
motion.
comment? I'm sorry. Okay. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Councilman.
I make a motion to approve expenditures. Approval warrants one, $65,173.55. CD requisitions, 22, in the amount of $90,381.70. Checks in the amount of $3,356,004.10 for a total of $511,559.35.
May I get a second?
Second.
Any comment from the public? Any comment from the board? I'm sorry, from council. Roll call?
Councilman Getzey?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sapp?
Yes.
Councilman Pecora?
Yes.
Mayor Calabrese?
Yes.
Councilman Petrucci?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay. We move to new business. Ordinance number 2666. May I get a motion?
Mayor Calabrese?
Yes, Mayor Sapp.
I make a motion that we accept ordinance number 2666, an ordinance of the Municipality of Penn Hills, County of Allegheny, Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, no parking in the right-of-way area located at intersection of Elliott Street and Verona Road.
May I get a second?
Second.
Any comments from the public? Will you please come to the microphone, sir?
My name's Tony Mangretta. I live at 205 Freda Street, Pittsburgh 15235. The property of Verona Road and Elliott, I own. I own that. I have rental property there. So you're telling me that my tenants can't park on that rental property anymore? They park in the front within the right-of-way of Allegheny County. That's an Allegheny County maintained road, Verona Road. There's a 33-foot right-of-way, yeah, it's a 33-foot right-of-way on Verona Road. So you're telling me that my tenants can't park there anymore? I own from the telephone pole up. I have almost 100 foot of frontage there.
Mr. Blackwell, would you like to speak to that?
Yeah, I believe I can speak to this ordinance. The residents, the police department received complaints. It's very difficult to pull out of Elliott Street. It's at a steep angle to Verona Road, if you're familiar with it, so the sight distance is poor. And the police department tried to work amicably with the tenants, with the people that parked there, and it worked for a little while, and then they started parking there again. But if you look at it may not be very well, it's maybe hard to visualize on the drawing, but they're not trying to prevent somebody from parking in front of Mr. Mangretta's property, in front of the house, I'm sorry, in front of the actual house. So you can park in front of the house. They're just, the way the no parking is right on the corner of that street, so that you can get a good sight distance to see up Verona Road. So the Traffic Safety Committee reviewed this, the complaints, and they've then made a recommendation to the police department that you pass this ordinance to have no parking in that right-of-way, just on the corner, but not in front of the actual structure.
So so there's a paper street there. Who owns that paper street? Is that where we're talking?
No, it's just
there's a street there that was owned by Pittsburgh Railroad. I think it was abandoned in 1955. That abuts my property there in Elliott Street. Between Elliott Street and my property, is that where we're talking? I just want clarification where we're talking.
Have you seen the map of this, the dark line would be the no parking. It's really just to prevent parking on the corner.
Okay, so you're showing it up to my property. If that dark black spot right there, is that my building?
That's your building, yes.
So you're telling me that I can only park in front of my building? The other 50 feet of my property I can't use?
It does not go in front of the structure. You can park in front of the structure.
I understand in front of the structure, but I own grass from the end of my building over to the right-of-way that that either belongs to Penn Hills or that was abandoned by the Pittsburgh Railroad Company in 1955. That runs adjacent to my property, and there's a ravine between Elliott Street and my property. So if you're telling me that black line comes up to the edge of my property, I just lost all that property that I'm paying taxes on that I can't park at?
It's causing a significant issue for the visibility of
so
people that come out.
So I'm paying taxes on property that I can't even park. You know what? I live at 205 Freda Street. If you go into that neighborhood, that's a 2-lane road. There's more cars parked on that road that you can't even plow the roads properly. On a 2-lane, I got people parking in their front yards. I keep this property, I'm so fed up with this. I keep this property kept, and I get punished for paying taxes. And now you're telling me that my tenants can't park. I have to park, I can't even put the tenants in front of the property, because you can't park head in front of the property. I own the property all the way down to my property line, and you're telling me I can't park there now.
The intent of the
ordinance. It's been there forever.
Is just to prevent it on the edge of the roadway to the corner.
I don't have a problem.
Not in front of the actual structure.
I don't have a problem from my property down. That's fine. And you still haven't answered my question. Who owns that property between my property and Elliott Street?
If you could please conclude your comment.
Well, you tell me what I'm supposed to do.
I mean, what?
So you're telling me that you're going to tag my tenants now, and I can't park there? I got to move them up the street, and I'm paying taxes on property I can't even use.
I think we're just talking about the right-of-way.
The right-of-way.
The right-of-way where?
On the map.
Okay, the right-of-way on the map, you're showing a black line going up to the edge of my building.
Sure, there are many roads in
So
Penn
the
Hills.
50 feet beyond the edge of my structure to the end of my property line that I pay taxes for, you're telling me I can't park there. Now, there's a telephone pole, and beyond that telephone pole, there was a road that used to go there that was owned by the railroad, that was abandoned in 1955. There's a sinkhole there. Who owns that property? Because it ain't Penn Hills, because I called Penn Hills, and they tell me that the rats that are coming out of there that my tenants keep playing, that I have to pay to have the rats removed from my property because everybody across the street on Elliott dumps over there. So you tell me where my tenants have to park. Somebody's going to have to meet me down there and tell me that I'm paying taxes on property that I can't use now. Somebody going to meet me there?
We can make arrangements for that.
You got my number?
No,
Call
but
me.
we can talk after the meeting.
You can take my card.
I'm not gonna stay here all day. This is ridiculous. I own property here, and you're telling me I can't park in front of my property.
Sir, there are homes all over Penn Hills where people can't park in front of their property, depending on the roads, depending on the recommendations that the administration gives. There are ordinances where there is no parking in front of people's homes all through Penn Hills.
So I'm gonna make my property look like shit, and I'm gonna have everybody park in the grass. That's gonna make Penn Hills look real nice.
Thank you, Mr. Vandron.
I don't need nobody's card. I'll call, and somebody kindly meet me down there. I'll give you my number right now. You can write it down, 412-403-0630. That's my cell phone. I'll be waiting for your call. I'll be more than happy to take off work and deal with my wife that has cancer, and I'll be more than happy to meet you down there anytime you want. Somebody wants to meet me down there, and we'll go from there.
Thank you
Thank
for your
you.
comments.
Are we going to table the discussion on this for some time?
Just a minute, Jim.
Any more public comment? Comment from council?
I have a question.
Councilman Petrucci? I'm sorry, Councilman Getzey?
My question is, can we table this until we get down and look at that site? It's very confusing to hear.
Mr.
I
Getty,
understand there was a recommendation.
Mr. Getty, do you want to make that in the form of a motion?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion that we table this until some of us can go down and look at that, because what I could hear up here is so confusing about lines and places. I would have a difficult time trying to make a decision on this without actually seeing it, or at least have some kind of map I could look at. So my recommendation, I make a motion that we table this until we can view that site. Thank you.
What's that? Did we get a second?
I'll second the motion.
There's no discussion on the motion to table, goes right to a vote.
Roll call?
On the motion to table, Deputy Mayor Sapp,
No.
Councilman Pecora,
Yes.
Mayor Calabrese,
Yes.
Councilman Petrucci,
Yes, table it.
Councilman Getzey.
Yes.
Motion was tabled.
Motion passes 4-1.
May I get a motion on ordinance number 2667?
May I make a motion that we adopt ordinance number 2667, an ordinance of the Municipality of Penn Hills, County of Allegheny, Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, stop sign located at the corner of 357 Elias Drive, facing Walpole Drive.
May I get a second?
Second.
Comment from the public? Comment from council? Roll call?
Councilman Pecora,
Yes.
Mayor Calabrese,
Yes.
Councilman Petrucci,
Yes,
Councilman Getzey,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sapp.
Yes.
Yeah. Motion carried to approve ordinance 2667.
May I get a motion for ordinance number 2668?
Madam Mayor, I'll make a motion for ordinance number 2668.
Thank you, Councilman Petrucci. May I get a second?
Second.
Comment from the public? Comment from council?
I have a question on this one. It says prohibiting graffiti as a form of vandalism. Does that mean we are considering graffiti vandalism and we want to prohibit that definition?
I think I'd like to first thank Mr. Blackwell, if I might answer, for helping draft this. But what the ordinance basically prohibits is graffiti and permanent markings on someone else's property. You're free to paint your own property however you wish within certain parameters, but if you apply permanent markings to someone else's property, this ordinance basically gives us the ability to remove it and lien the property or force you to remove it. We had a issue not so long ago where we ended up doing that very thing, but we didn't really have an ordinance in place to give us that ability. And what we ended up doing was sort of making it up as we went along to force the markings to be removed or covered. So by having this ordinance, it's just basically putting into local law that ability in the future.
Okay, I think it would make more sense to me if prohibiting was exempting, but I understand what you're saying.
Any further comment from council?
Mayor Calabrese?
One moment, Councilman Petrucci. Yes, Mayor Sapp, Deputy Mayor Sapp.
I just have a question with regard to, in the event that the person is unfounded who did the act of graffiti, then it is going to be the property owner's responsibility to clear that graffiti from their property. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's true. There's still a criminal act, if you will. If you deface someone's property and vandalize it, you would be subject to criminal sanctions. This is giving the municipality the ability to enforce it against the property owner and give them, obviously, notification that they have to remove it, or we would remove it and then lien the property.
So my question is, if it's an elderly person's home that's vandalized, and they can't afford to do that, so we're going to lien their property?
The ordinance doesn't make any exception for that specifically. Obviously, I would say that our code enforcement office, while certainly not being selectively, certainly wouldn't exercise selective enforcement. I think that would play into consideration. I would tell you that we don't really have a graffiti problem in Penn Hills. What we had in Penn Hills was really an isolated incident, and it was because of that incident that we discovered that we really didn't have anything specific that addressed that issue. And I would say that on behalf of the code office, if that were the case, I think that our code office would probably work with that owner, maybe get them in touch with certain resources that might be available to help them. I think if it were someone that fit that description, I think we would probably try to help them a little bit along before we went and liened the property. I think that would be fair to say.
Thank you.
So as a point of clarification, if I may.
Just one moment, Councilman Getzey. Councilman Petrucci?
Yeah, I think what Deputy Mayor Knapp was inquisitive about, and she asked a question that I was going to ask the manager. This will be off the officer's discretion for the code enforcement. I'm sure it would be. And what I'm looking at, it would take it out of a criminal offense and make it a summary offense for our municipality. We would collect 100% of the fine and cost, which would also generate some revenue into the community. Also, if this would be a serious problem. We agree there's not a serious problem with graffiti, but we still should have a tool to let the code enforcement officers have, so that we have something to work with once this does become apparent.
May I? To make it simple for me, if somebody puts graffiti on my property, am I then responsible for removing it and subject to a lien if I don't?
Yes.
Is that my understanding?
Is
my understanding correct?
Potentially, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
The board is going to move to a vote at this point.
I just had one question. a definition.
Okay, will you please state your name and address?
Felix Catlin, 223 Detour Drive. Could you please define lien the property? Thank you.
Mayor? May I do that?
Yes, please.
So, Mr. Catlin, when a property is lien, it's called a municipal claim lien. And whatever costs are incurred by the municipality gets filed downtown on what's called a municipal claim lien document. And then whenever the property is sold, that amount of money is returned to the municipality out of the proceeds of the sale. That's what a lien is on the property is.
So as I take a look at this proposed ordinance, I'm not comfortable with the fact that we sit up here and we don't even understand it. I don't like that it is, quote, at the officer's discretion to, if you will, selectively prosecute. I know the incident that prompted this. I don't think any of us who saw that graffiti is in favor of graffiti, certainly not. But when I drove past that house, I thought, why would the owner not take that down? And then it occurred to me, maybe the owner is not there, or maybe it's an elderly person who's not aware of it, or maybe they don't have the ability or the means to get it removed. So I think it is already a crime to deface someone's property. I don't know that we need to put an ordinance in place on top of something that is already a state law. If we feel we need something more, then I think we need to go back to the drawing board. But the way this is crafted right now, I will be voting no. Roll call?
Mayor Calabrese?
No.
Councilman Petrucci?
Yes.
Councilman Getzey?
No.
Deputy Mayor Sapp?
No.
Councilman Pecora?
No.
Ordinance 2668 was defeated.
May I get a motion for resolution number 2020-003?
Mayor Calabrese?
Yes, Deputy Mayor Sapp.
I'd like to make a motion that we accept resolution number 2020-003, awarding demolition of blighted and condemned structures, contract to Lutterman Excavating for the amount of $34,250.
May I get a second?
Second.
Comment from the public?
How long does a structure have to sit, condemned structure have to sit before it's demolished like that? Because I have one on my street.
Would you like me to answer that?
Yes, please, Mr. Blackwell.
Currently, there may be as many as 50 or 60 vacant, dilapidated structures on our list of demolitions. We work at them, maybe we're up to, with this contract, there would be 9 single-family homes and 4 commercial structures demolished within the 2019 HUD fiscal program year. With this contract, it'd be a total of $126,000 expended on demolitions. It sounds like a lot of money, but it's only 9 single-family homes and 4 commercial structures out of the 50 or 60. And of course, it grows each year. And so while we attack it from one end, more structures become vacant.
That's so true, yes.
If you look at what we bid on, we bid out 10 structures. And in this case, by this time of the year, we only had enough money to fund the demolition of 4. So I don't know if I'm answering your question, but we're working on them continuously. And those 4 structures were determined by code enforcement and the planning department to be the most, the ones that needed to become down, they were maybe the worst of the worst.
Right, because
that kind of thing.
There's a rodent infestation, seriously.
Well, but then the other 6 remaining on this list, it doesn't mean that they're going to be the first with 2020 funding to come down. There may be emergency demolitions, things that fires, things that we're not aware of at this time.
So it's up to 9 per year?
It depends on funding, but we typically demolish about 10 single-family structures a year. Yes, that's correct.
Thank you.
And I do want to point out at the same time, we're also working diligently to have the better structures sold at sheriff's sale or rehabbed and purchased by vacant property recovery program. There are other options that we're using to try to resolve the vacant structures in the municipality.
Have you thought about offering like a flip-flop project?
We do that. You could call it a flip-flop, but that's what we do. We have sheriff sales. We have you could almost call the vacant property recovery program a flip-flop program, if you like, where somebody can come in, get the property at a very affordable price and either demolish it themselves or rehab the structure.
Thank you, Con.
Any further public comment? Comment from council? Roll call?
Councilman Petrucci? Councilman Getzey?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sapp?
Yes.
Councilman Pecora?
Yes.
Mayor Calabrese?
Yes.
Motion carries.
May I get a motion for resolution number 2020-004?
Mayor Calabrese?
Yes, Deputy Mayor Sapp.
I'd like to make a motion that we accept resolution number 2020-004, authorizing the municipality of Penn Hills to enter into a lease agreement with Penn Hills Youth Football Association for the rental of concession stand number 2, located in Turner Friendship Park.
Public comment? I'm sorry, may I get a second?
Second.
Public comment? Comment from council? Roll call?
Councilman Getzey?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sapp?
Yes.
Councilman Pecora?
Yes.
Mayor Calabrese?
Yes.
Councilman Petrucci?
Yes.
Motion carries.
May I get a motion for resolution number 2020-005?
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to resolution number 2020-005, authorizing the municipality of Penn Hills to enter into a lease agreement with Penn Hills Girls Softball Association for concession stands located at Penn Hills Park.
May I get a second?
Second.
Comment from the public? Comment from council? Roll call?
Deputy Mayor Sapp?
Yes.
Councilman Pecora?
Yes.
Mayor Calabrese?
Yes.
Councilman Petrucci?
Yes.
Councilman Getzey?
Yes.
Motion carries.
May I get a motion for resolution number 2020-006?
Mayor Calabrese?
Yes, Deputy Mayor Sapp.
I'd like to make a motion that we accept resolution number 2020-006, authorizing the municipality of Penn Hills to enter into a lease agreement with the Penn Hills Baseball Association for concession stand number 1, located in Turner Friendship Park.
May I get a second?
Second.
Comment from the public?
Another question. Felix Catlin, 223 Detour Drive. I'm assuming all three of these are the same length in the agreement time? And if so, what is the length of the lease?
20 through 22.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Comment from council? Roll call?
Councilman Pecora?
Yes.
Mayor Calabrese?
Yes.
Councilman Petrucci?
Yes.
Councilman Getzey?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sapp?
Yes.
Motion carries.
May I get a resolution for number 2020-007?
Mayor Calabrese?
Yes, Deputy Mayor Sapp.
I'd like to make a motion that we accept resolution number 2020-007, awarding a 3-year contract to ADS Environmental Service for the maintenance, monitoring, and submittal of report data in the amount of $127,800.
May I get a second?
Second.
Comment from the public? Yes, please come up. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Karen Hayner, and I live at 315 Hamel Road. I was just wondering what this contract is for, the maintenance, monitoring, and submittal of what data?
Flow data,
In reference to the water?
sewage that we send to El Casan.
So we don't do this ourselves, we contract it out?
Defer to you.
Yes, it's a specialty service. It's highly specialized in flow monitoring and techniques and equipment. So these companies purchase and maintain and utilize these types of flow meters. In the past, communities have tried to operate and maintain these meters, but they just don't maintain the technical skill and abilities to do it. So it's very commonly accepted to utilize a professional vendor. In this particular case, this is actually the only vendor in this area that can do this work as it relates to the complexity of not only the monitoring, but the access to the meters to get to the readings and to maintain them.
And so this would help us prevent with storm overflow?
You're obligated to monitor and report the flow that comes from these facilities that are being monitored. So it's a continuous meter that takes a measurement of flow every 5 minutes and reports that data. So you're obligated to turn in that data to the regulatory agencies.
So we just pay this money to report it to somebody else? Will we use this, collect this data to make our sewage problems better?
Yes, we utilize the data as well as it relates to comparing it to when it rains, how much rainfall there is, how much the flows increase or decrease based on the amount of rain and snow melt in certain situations. So it helps us understand how our system responds to wet weather events.
And would be able to prevent us from being fined in the future for storm sewer overpour?
No, it doesn't prevent fines. It only documents what's actually happening. So as we see situations that are happening that are going to the negative, then we have the ability to react before maybe they do cross a certain limit or a certain line.
Have we used this in the past?
We utilize this meter data, as well as other local short-term meters to understand what's happening in the system in areas that surcharge or overflow. These are permanent fixed meters at facilities. So we're able to contract with other flow meter vendors to monitor in manholes and other areas in shorter terms. But in your operation permit, to operate and maintain a sewage treatment and a sewage conveyance facility, these permanent meters are required. So yes, the data is used.
And so I hope we can utilize that to prevent future storm sewage waste and fines.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any further public comment? Any comment from council? I have a comment. So I am by no means an expert on sewage, but after speaking with our engineer, I think that this is worth every nickel of this. I will be voting yes on this resolution. We have more to talk about, but I'm very, very excited for the direction that we are taking in our sewer system.
And Mayor, if I could, I would just like to add that the sewer, the water pollution control director and I did canvass other vendors in the area to see if there's another vendor that could read their meters, and we were unsuccessful in finding anyone that could.
Thank you. Roll call.
Mayor Calabrese?
Yes.
Councilman Petrucci?
Yes.
Councilman Getzey?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sapp?
Yes.
Councilman Pecora?
Yes.
Motion carries.
May I get a motion for resolution number 2020-008?
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion for resolution number 2020-008, appointing Fire Marshal Chuck Miller as Emergency Management Coordinator for the Municipality of Penn Hills.
May I get a second?
Second.
Second.
Comment from the public? Comment from council.
Mayor Calabrese?
Yes, Deputy Mayor Sapp.
I'd like to direct a question to our business manager. So, Scott, I thought you were appointed the emergency management coordinator.
Yeah, that is true. I'm currently the appointed emergency management coordinator for Penn Hills.
Okay, and so why are we now wanting to appoint Fire Marshal Chuck Miller? Is that,
Because I do not have the certifications,
okay.
and Chuck does.
Okay, thank you.
Any further comment from council? I have a comment. My understanding is that this is a requirement, a federal requirement, I believe.
There are a number of classes and certifications that one has to obtain through testing to become certified by PEMA. I've done some of those classes, but not all of those classes. Diane Fitzhenry has a lot of the certifications as well, but Chuck has all of the ones that are needed. I think it's in the best interest of the municipality to utilize someone that's here now that has all of the certifications. That's what he does on a daily basis. He's the one that comes out during an emergency. He's the one that coordinates with the other directors and I and the Red Cross. So we've been working as a team. We did experience some level of we did experience some level of emergency last year with the flooding, and Diane and myself and Chuck worked pretty well through that. But officially, in terms of who the state has on file as the EMA coordinator, I'm recommending that it be him.
Okay. Do you plan to continue to take those courses?
I do not.
Okay. And then my other question would be, do we actually have the emergency management plan in effect, and is that made public, or do we have it somewhere within the?
It's not. We do have an emergency management plan. It is not a public document, but it is available for viewing, and it's been approved, by the county and the state. But it is not a public document.
Okay. My last question is, when is the last time it was updated or revised?
I don't want to wager a guess.
Okay. Can we look into that?
Yes.
Thank you.
Any further comment from council? Roll call.
Councilman Petrucci? Councilman Getzey?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sapp?
Yes.
Councilman Pecora?
Yes.
Mayor Calabrese?
Yes.
Motion carries.
May I get a motion for resolution number 2020-009?
Mayor Calabrese?
Yes, Deputy Mayor Sapp.
I'd like to make a motion that we accept resolution number 2020-009, awarding the Thompson Run Heavy Cleaning and Televising Contract to State Pipe Services in the total amount of $368,200.
May I get a second?
Second.
Comment from the public.
Sharon Baskin, my first meeting, 336 Dorothy Drive. I needed a clarification on resolution 2020-009. Is that sewage pipes? What are we talking? What pipes?
That is a sanitary sewer line.
The sewage line. Okay.
Correct.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any further public comment? Comment from council. Roll call.
Councilman Getzey?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sapp?
Yes.
Councilman Pecora?
Yes.
Mayor Calabrese?
Yes.
Councilman Petrucci?
Yes.
Motion carries.
May I get a motion for resolution number 2020-011?
Mayor, I make a motion for resolution number 2020-001, awarding a contract to Westmoreland Electrical Service for the Senior Service Center Emergency Generator Replacement Project in the amount of $73,000.
May I get a second?
A second.
Comment from the public?
My name is Bill Mouch, 1335 Maple Avenue, 15147. How many bids were put out for this job? And is this the highest bid, or was it a middle bid, or?
There were 4 proposals, and this was the lowest.
That's correct.
I'm thinking there should have been more than one bid.
There were 4 proposals.
There was?
There were 4 proposals.
It's one bid with 4 proposals. 4 proposals came in. This was the lowest bidder.
Okay, thank you.
And actually, they went from $73,000 to $94,500. They were very close and good bids.
Any further public comment? Comment from council?
Mayor,
Yes, Deputy Mayor Sapp.
I just had a question to, is that generator out? We're replacing it, so is it broke, is it completely done?
Yeah, the current generator at the building has served a long, faithful life, and it's beyond its term, and it needs to be replaced. And when it actually met its demise, I'm not certain. But this generator will also, it's actually, the current generator is located in the basement of the senior center. This one's going to be located in front of the building. It's significantly larger, and it will power more. It's going to provide not only emergency lighting, but refrigeration so that food doesn't get damaged, and also it'll power the elevator to bring it to the lobby so people don't get trapped in the elevator when when the power fails. So, but yeah, the current generator is no longer in service.
Okay, that sounds good. Thank you so much.
And I would just like to add, too, we actually investigated whether we could take the old generator at the old municipal building and swap that out, and that's not feasible.
Good point. Yeah, good point. We did try to look at some other
Save some
options.
money there, it doesn't work.
This one sounds more up to date.
Roll call.
Councilman Pecora?
Yes.
Mayor Calabrese?
Yes.
Councilman Petrucci? Councilman Petrucci?
I think I'm on mute.
If not. Councilman Getzey?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sapp?
Yes.
Motion carries.
For the record, I think I heard Councilman
John,
Petrucci.
did you vote? Did you vote on that motion, John?
No, you didn't. Yes.
Okay, so it'll be recorded as a yes, Mayor.
Thank you.
Motion carries.
May I get a motion for resolution number 2020-012?
Mayor,
Yes, Deputy Mayor Sapp.
I'd like to make a motion that we accept resolution number 2020-012, awarding a contract to GovUnity for the redesign of the municipal website in the amount of $12,000.
May I get a second?
Second.
Comment from the public?
Betty Arndt, 172 Highland Road. I didn't see a bid tab for this contract. Is there a bid tab?
No, there's not. This was done as an RFP, not as a bid. It was done as a professional service and not as a bid, but it was advertised, and we solicited and received multiple proposals.
Does the Home Rule Charter, I thought, had a $10,000 limit, that anything over 10 had to have a competitive bid?
This is considered a professional service.
So it's not required?
We did.
Not required to bid.
Okay.
But we
Can I-
advertised we solicited proposals from multiple companies and received multiple proposals, vetted
But-
those proposals, and this comes as a recommendation of staff as the best choice.
Is this the same company that worked on the library's website recently?
No.
All right, thank you.
Any further public comment? Comment from council? I have a question. So the next, so have you researched any other professional services for this?
I'm not sure I understand the
Any
question.
other vendors, any other?
We have, under the right to know law, after a disposition is made on the proposals, whether to accept a proposal or not, then those proposals become public. We received, I believe, 8 proposals. We did advertise the RFP, and we actually did reach out to vendors that we knew were, at least in some regard, did municipal website work. Those prices ranged from $12,000, which was the lowest, up into the 38 or 40, about the $40,000 range. And we did vet the respondents and this respondent by calling some other clients that they had. Some of those were county offices. Most of them were other municipalities. And so attached to this that you have is as a staff recommendation that they believe this to be the best respondent on all the factors. And the fact that it was the lowest cost was also played a significant factor in the recommendation as well.
So this is a one-time payment of $12,000?
It is a periodic payment. It doesn't all get paid at once. It would be billed periodically as they complete work.
I see, not to exceed $12,000. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Am I out of order? Sorry.
So in fact, you are out of order.
I thought so, yeah. I had a question, I missed it. All right. Will you allow this one?
We'll allow this one, and then
Okay.
I think...
I just wanted to know if the vendor was associated with the Savvy Citizen app, whether they were going to be linked together and work together, or if it's a different company.
That's a technical question I'm unable to answer, but our IT director's in the back, and I'm sure he would be able to discuss it with you.
Roll call?
Mayor Calabrese,
Yes.
Councilman Petrucci,
Yes.
Councilman Getzey,
Yes?
Deputy Mayor Sapp,
Yes.
Councilman Pecora.
Yes.
Motion carries.
May I get a motion for approval of the Penn Hills Parks and Recreation calendar of events for 2020?
Mayor Calabrese?
Yes, Deputy Mayor Sapp.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve Penn Hills Parks and Recreation calendar of events for 2020.
Public comment? I'm sorry, may I get a second?
Second.
Public comment?
Faith Malazzo, 121 Castle Drive. I just want to say that for the calendar, I don't know what the fall event is going to be, but I am in favor of something like Autumn in the Hills that we had 2 years ago that was sadly canceled this past year. So I just want to say that. I'm glad to see there are still movies in the park. A little disappointed that there aren't bands in the park, but it seems like there could be additional events added. So just wanted to throw my 2 cents in there. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further public comment? Felix, now would be the time. Any comments from council?
I have a comment, Mayor.
Madam Mayor,
Yes, Councilman Petrucci.
my only concern with approving this Parks and Recreation calendar of events is that I want the public to understand something, that along with these events, there's also an expense of safety. And when I say safety, I mean, well, as far as our parades and some of our events, you're going to have police that are going to be working overtime. You're going to have DPW that's going to be working overtime. This all has to be taken into consideration coming out of our budget. So I just want everybody to be aware, maybe at some point we can critique these events so that they do not use up so much overtime. And maybe the manager has to project this for them.
I think, are you finished with your comments, Councilman?
Yes, sir. I just wanted to make that everybody aware of the overtime that's involved in each one of these events that we do have. And when it comes up about the overtime that we're spending, this is part of our budget, and this is part of the overtime that's incurred into our budget.
Thank you.
We should be open to taking a look at this, and maybe you can critique these different parades and events so that we could maybe save a little bit on the overtime. I don't know much if everybody's aware of that we pay people to march in the parade. Maybe we can get some other organizations that will not charge us to come out to Penn Hills and support Penn Hills and our veteran. And that's all I have to say.
Any further comment from council?
Mayor?
Yes, Deputy Mayor Sapp.
I see John Scaglione in the audience, our Director of Recreation. If he could come up maybe to the podium and just give us a highlight of the calendar of events. Thank you, John. I didn't really mean to put you on the spot, but I'm glad you're here.
Firstly, the only events that use overtime for the Parks Department are the Memorial Day Parade, Summerfest, the police patrol on duty through the parks, and the Autumn in the Hills event, same thing, police patrol on duty. So aside from the Memorial Day Parade, we have no police overtime for any of our events. Public Works we utilize for the Memorial Day Parade, the Autumn in the Hills event, and the Summerfest event, just to control traffic and kind of keep things a little less chaotic than using volunteers. And the cost, I believe, is less than $1,000 per event for 6 members of overtime.
I'm sorry, is that just for the Memorial Day Parade? It's less than $1,000 because the other ones are on-duty officers,
Correct.
Right? Okay.
That's just the Public Works overtime. I can't speak to the amount of the police, but I don't believe it would be much
Public
more.
Works, I'm sorry.
Yes. Did you want me to go through some
Yes,
of the
you
events?
can continue.
All
I
right.
didn't-
Sorry. Yeah, so we're starting things off. April 11th will be our Easter celebration and egg hunt at Penn Hills Community Park. The park's officially open on April 13th. Our Memorial Day Parade is May 25th. In lieu of the concerts in the park this year, we decided to kind of combine them all into one event, a summer kickoff concert, kind of bring in some local nonprofits, organizations, community groups to give information out to the public for summer, what's going on in the summer and the fall. We'll have some bands, food trucks, bounce houses, just a fun, free day for the community to come out and find out what's going on in the summer in Penn Hills. Our summer playground program, which has been going on for, I can't give you an exact number, I've been here 15 or 12 years, and it's been probably 20 years after that as well. It's a nice, cost-effective program for the community. It's 75 cents an hour for 5 hours a day at Universal Park. We have movies in the park in June, July, and August. Summer camp out in the park at Penn Hills Park. Our 6th annual Summer Fest is August 1st. Other small programs leading into our Halloween event, our annual holiday craft show, and we wrap up with a breakfast with Santa. All told, it's 19 programs that are scheduled right now, not including anything we develop throughout the year.
Okay. I have a question. What is the camp out in the park?
It'll be at Penn Hills Community Park this year.
Okay.
I have a question.
And the other one is the Capes and Crowns?
Yes. It's a event I was kind of doing some research on. It's a superhero and princess party.
So it's new?
We had it last year. We had about 50 kids sign up. They come dressed as their favorite superhero or princess and play games, eat, story time.
Okay.
Free event, something simple for the community.
Okay. And then, let me see, I had one other question for you. Okay, thank you so much.
I have a question.
Yes.
Mr. Scaglione, is it possible to project an amount that would be spent on these events for the overtime, police, and what other costs there are?
I can tell you the Memorial Day Parade, not including police overtime, is less than $5,000. That's including public works overtime. The paying of the marching units, for the most part, they're nonprofit groups who rely on performing at these events to raise funds for their groups. I've been here for 12 years, like I said. Every year, that was what was passed down to me from the previous administration. Those groups have been in the parade, I confidently say, at least 20 years. We bring them back. You know, they support our community. A lot of them aren't from Penn Hills. It's hard to find groups in Penn Hills to come out. We try. We send out applications, over 100 every year, to different community groups, sports associations, businesses. Usually we get about 30 to 40 groups that come back every year to support the event. But all told, it's right around $5,000, including public works overtime for that event.
I raise this question, and I'm going to defer to our manager after I ask my question. But in view of our budget deficit, I think it's important that we know what the cost of these things are going to be, because it may be necessary to look at items that we can no longer afford to do. And I'm going to ask Mr. Andrzejczyk if he would want to add to that or just let it go.
What I would say is that in the Parks and Recreation budget is a line item for programming, and that one line item, programming, is encapsulating all of these events. Is that
Yes.
correct, John?
Yes.
So in John's budget, in the Parks and Rec budget that we all have, is a line item for programming, and this is the programming.
And if I could make one comment, I was actually going through some old paperwork, cleaning out my office at the beginning of the year, and I found a budget from 2006. The recreation budget that year was $228,000. This year it's $197,000, and we're doing twice the events. Just keep that in mind, please.
Mayor, can I make a comment? Would you mind?
Yes, Mr. Brockwell.
John, I know it's impossible to tell how many people attend the Memorial Day Parade, I would imagine, but you have other events that you clearly, Halloween in the park, some of these other events on here, and I just wonder if you could give us some numbers. I think the numbers are pretty impressive.
Yeah, it's all weather dependent, but we'll assume good weather. For the Easter event, we'll have 1,000 people in the park, between 300 and 400 kids. The parade, we estimate, it's tough because you have to follow the route, but between 750 and 1,000 people. The movies in the park, we get between 100 and 150. Summerfest, safely around 4,000 last year. We had 1,500 the first year. It's grown every year since then. Our Halloween in the park, 1,000 people, depending on weather. Craft show, we usually have 140 or so vendors, and 2,000 people come through the program.
Thanks. Appreciate it. Really great.
Thank you.
John, I just want to say to you that since 2016 that I've been working with you, you do an incredible job. Hats off to you. You're a great organizer, and I love the events that you plan for our community.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, John.
Oh, no, you're in. I think you're in order. I'm all confused.
Council comments, so I'm sorry. Heather Houlihan, 6675 Pokita Road. I would like to give the counterpoint to both Mr. Petrucci and Mr. Getzi to say that we can't afford not to have these events. We really don't want to be a place where fun goes to die. And, if we want to continue to attract younger families, if we want to keep the families that have younger children, or just the people who are going to eventually even enter the empty nest stage, who are looking for programs like Autumn in the Hills, where you can very affordably, by the way, buy an insurance rider to cover alcohol. I know other communities do it, But I'm just going to say that we just can't be an all business kind of town. We have way too many people here for that, and if we don't offer something, there's going to be nothing here. To not only attract, but to keep. So please, John Scaglione does a wonderful job. I don't have kids anymore, that are young enough anymore to use some of the services that he does, but I do have one who still really enjoys it. And I enjoy the adult events, so, please don't cut so much You know, penny wise, pound foolish. Please.
May I respond to that?
Thank you.
respond to that,
Councilman Getzey? Yes,
Uh,
Councilman Getzey.
I wasn't proposing that we cut his budget, but what I am saying is, in the fact that we have a deficit municipal budget, we can't just look at certain line items and not look at the entire package. And so in order to come to some decisions about how we're going to spend our money, what we can afford to spend, I think we need to look at everything and make some decisions. No decisions have been made as of yet, but I think it's incumbent on us to look at everything and not be selective as to what we look at and what we don't look at. Thank you.
Mayor Calabrese?
Yes, Deputy Mayor Sapp.
I'd like to make one final comment. I was just thinking as we were speaking about the parade and the community participation, was thinking maybe even this year we could ask all of our businesses to in some way participate in our Memorial Day. Maybe they can give out a coupon or buy one, get one free or something like that, so we can just even draw more people from our neighboring communities. So I'm excited about the Memorial Day parade and making it better. So we look forward to just coming together and collaborating on some new ideas for our parade this year.
You know, this item reminds me of that commercial where they say the cost is X amount of dollars, but the memories are priceless. Truly, we are the largest municipality outside of Pittsburgh. We need to have recreation. It is wonderful, the participation that we have. In a budget our size, I think we do a pretty nice job. And, you know, at the risk of repeating myself in my training that we go to, I see municipality after municipality and townships and boroughs, and really we have a lot to offer that a lot of other places do not offer. When I first moved here, I was kind of blown away. I said to my husband, wow, it's like 6 o'clock in the morning and people are putting their chairs out for the Memorial Day parade already. I think it's really important because these are the things, particularly in the age of technology, these are the things that get us out and get us together, and we're actually having face-to-face contact. So I can tell you I will be voting to approve this. Roll call.
Councilman Petrucci?
Yes.
Councilman Getzey?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sapp?
Yes.
Councilman Pecora?
Yes.
Mayor Calabrese?
Yes.
Motion carries.
May I get a motion for a motion to approve the tentative agreement with Utility Workers of America, Local 602, for January 1st, 2020 to December 31st, 2022?
Mayor Calabrese?
Yes, Deputy Mayor Sapp.
I make a motion that we approve a tentative agreement with Utility Workers of America, Local 602, for January 1, 2020 through December 31st, 2022.
May I get a second? Tonight.
Second.
Public comment? Comment from council? So as I look at this tentative agreement, you know, certainly I think we absolutely need to have an agreement. I just think that we need to sharpen the pencil a bit. So when I vote, I will be voting no. It doesn't mean that I don't want to have an agreement. I just want us to go back to the negotiation table. Roll call.
Councilman Getzey?
No.
Deputy Mayor Sapp?
No.
Councilman Pecora?
No.
Mayor Calabrese?
No.
Councilman Petrucci?
No.
Item 10B was defeated.
May I get a motion for the appointment of Rebecca Finoletto to the Penn Hills Personnel Board for a term beginning January 1st, 2020 and ending December 31st, 2021?
Mayor Calabrese?
Yes, Deputy Mayor Sapp.
I'd like to make a motion that we appoint Becky Falatino to the Penn Hills Personnel Board for a term beginning January 1, 2020 and ending December 31st, 2021.
May I get a second?
Second.
Public comment. She is.
Hi, Felix Catlin again, 223 Detour Drive. I'd like to support this wholeheartedly, having known Becky and worked with her in the community for a period of years. And as an attorney, her knowledge base is firm, and she has empathy. She understands people. She's done a ton of pro bono work for disadvantaged people. Family law, is it, essentially? She's a wonderful appointee. I just want to support it. Thank you.
Thank you. Further public comment? Comment from the board?
I would like to make a comment. I would like to nominate Rose Petrucci for the Penn Hills Personnel Board position.
Do you want to address that, or shall I just make a nomination? Okay. At this time, we are just, we have before us the motion for this particular appointment. We're not taking nominations at this time.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you said in there.
I'm sorry. We're not taking motions at this time. This is simply on the specific motion before us for the appointment of Attorney Finoletto.
The appointment to the Penn Hills Personnel Board, this is what we're discussing?
Yes, but specific.
And you nominated somebody? Or did you appoint somebody?
I am appointing Attorney Finoletto to the board, and I can only do so with the approval of council. So right now, the motion is, we will be voting momentarily as to whether or not you will support my appointment.
And if your appointment goes through, then there will be no more nominations.
If this particular appointment goes through, then there will be at another point, there is another appointment to be made. There are 2 openings at this particular time on the Personnel Board. This evening, we have only 1 appointment that is being presented for a vote. There's another opening, though.
And how could the appointment of another person be made through a nomination?
So right now, we need to have an appointment made on the Personnel Board so that they have a quorum. Pursuant to the Home Rule Charter, the mayor appoints with the approval of council. Right now, after taking a look at the applications and with particular recommendations, at this moment, the only motion before council is the specific appointment of Attorney Finoletto to the Personnel Board.
So we will then deal with the next blank Personnel Board opportunity. B of item 12 here.
Yes, that will be left blank tonight.
And there will be no appointment made? Can there be a nomination for appointment?
No, Councilman Getzey, tonight we are just specifically looking at the appointment that I'm setting forth. I'm seeking approval from council for the appointment of Attorney Finoletto. Okay. There is no other appointment that I'm presenting tonight for the Penn Hills Personnel Board.
Can I bring this up later under Mayor and Council reports?
I'm going to defer to the solicitor on that question.
I don't have a copy of the charter in front of me, but my recollection is that appointments are generally the mayor's appointments, subject to the advice and consent of council. But a councilman can always bring up an issue in items for consideration or his or her council report. But my recollection from the years that I've been here are that these types of appointments are the mayor's appointments subject to the ratification through advice and consent of council. And does anybody happen to have a copy of the charter on them?
Your recollection is, is my recollection as well.
Yeah, this charter is incomplete. I needed the later provisions, which is Article 14, and Article 16, which is the Personnel Board, but
Get the microphone, please.
the manager is the manager agrees that these are the mayor's appointments. I don't have the full and complete charter. We can look at it later, but
I can get it in a moment, if you'd like.
And Councilman Getzey, I'm happy to consider any nomination that you would like to discuss with me.
Can I make that nomination now?
No, I think,
Hold on.
Okay, let me rephrase this. How can we address this issue that I've raised? Is it a done deal that only you can appoint, or can I nominate somebody at some time, whether this time is appropriate or not, at some appropriate time?
It's Article 3. Article 3, Solicitor.
let me look.
Section 12, Powers and Duties of the Mayor. And it's letter C, appoint with the advice and consent of the council, members of any boards,
There you go.
commissions, etc. That's what it says.
so I'm happy to take your advice, and if you would like to talk afterwards, I'd be happy to take any advice from you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any further public comment?
Mayor? Can Becky Fedolino just stand up so that we can see who she is? She is here this evening. Thank you.
I don't think she meant public.
I'll make this comment brief, but this applies to the entire process of these appointments. I was appointed to the library board 3 years ago for one term by Mayor DeLuca, actually, and I chose not to renew my my term and passed it on to another person. It was always my understanding that solicitations for these positions were addressed to mayor and council, not to the business manager. They would go into a file that mayor and council would look at together. The mayor does the appointment with the consent of the council. I believe the process has been subtly changed in the last couple of years. I believe the resumes are going somewhere else, and they're being pushed from another direction. According to the Home Rule Charter, the mayor will appoint with the consent and advice of council. Thank you.
You're welcome, and that is the way that it is presented before mayor and council. Thank you, Felix.
Any further comment from council? I would say that I am very, very proud to have someone like Attorney Finoletto serve. I have known her professionally as well as personally. She has the utmost respect of the Allegheny County Bar. I think that she will absolutely serve us well. She has done so much for our community already, and these are very serious appointments. These are quasi-professional positions. She will not get paid for this, but I am certain that she will behave at the highest level of professionalism. Roll call.
Deputy Mayor Sapp,
Yes.
Councilman Pecora,
Yes.
Mayor Calabrese,
Yes.
Councilman Petrucci,
Yes.
Councilman Getzey.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Congratulations, Attorney Finaletta. Will you please stick around afterwards so we can spell your name properly? Thank you.
I cut you.
Can we say that this is tabled? May I get a motion to appoint myself, Mayor Pauline Calabrese, as a delegate to the Turtle Creek Valley Council of Governments effective February 17th, 2020?
Mayor Calabrese?
Yes, Counsel.
I'm making a motion to appoint Mayor Pauline Calabrese as delegate to the Turtle Creek Valley Council of Governments effective February 17th, 2020.
May I get a second?
Second.
Comment from the public? Comment from council?
You can.
Roll call.
Mayor Calabrese,
Yes.
Councilman Petrucci,
Yes.
Councilman Getzey,
Yes?
Deputy Mayor Sapp,
Yes.
Councilman Pecora.
Yes.
Motion carries.
I'd like to make a motion to appoint Councilman John Petrucci as an alternate delegate to the Turtle Creek Valley Council of Governments. May I get a motion?
Yes. I make a motion that we appoint Councilman Petrucci as an alternate delegate to the Turtle Creek Valley Council of Governments.
May I get a second?
Second.
Comment from the public? Comment from council? I will be very proud to serve with Councilman Petrucci. I think that Turtle Creek, the Turtle Creek Valley Council of Governments, in case you don't know, is made up of many, many municipalities out in the east. And although the trend had been the north was getting all the attention, you'll notice that the east is now starting to command attention. And so I am very, very happy and proud to serve with Councilman Petrucci in this capacity. Roll call.
Councilman Petrucci,
Yes.
Councilman Getzey,
Yes?
Deputy Mayor Sapp,
Yes.
Councilman Pecora,
Yes.
Mayor Calabrese.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Mayor, so just to clarify and add to Mr. Getzey's comments, I understand from our discussion that there remains one personnel board position open that will not be filled today, but that you would consider any nominations that would be brought to your attention.
Absolutely.
Okay.
May I ask something here? Is that nomination to be made formally at a meeting or just casually after the meeting?
I think the way that the charter is written, it could be either, but I think what Mayor Calabrese indicated was that she'd be happy to discuss with anybody a formidable candidate for that position. Is that correct?
I'm pretty new to this, so you'll excuse my questions.
Yes, that's correct, Solicitor. So what I'd like to do is try to move toward a more professional model, and so that's why we were taking resumes and we're taking letters of recommendation, and we want to put it out to anybody. And I don't mean that to say that you have to be a professional. What I mean to say is I would like to move this into a more professional process and to really follow the charter. Are there any items for consideration?
I have an item for consideration, if it's appropriate for this item, because I was going to bring it up as mayor and council reports.
I'll defer to the solicitor.
I don't know what it is.
Well, I'm asking. I would like to raise two issues here. One regards the senior center and the other the firemen. Is this the appropriate time to do it?
Are you asking for some sort of action by mayor and council, or are you just giving them information?
I'd consider it informational.
That'd be your report.
We talked about the budget, and I raised the issue earlier about the...
Councilman Getzey?
Yes.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you. I think the solicitor said you would hold that, and since we're not taking action on it, it's more appropriate to do it when you give your report.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Introduction of ordinances and resolutions.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. There is one ordinance being introduced, and if it pleases Mayor and Council, it could advance at the next meeting. We had a resident attend one of our council meetings not so long ago, and the issue is that under our current ordinances, if you have an animal, particularly a dog, that barks incessantly, you could be cited for that. In the way the ordinance is written, the dog has to bark continuously for 30 minutes. And that's very common to find in other municipalities, that there's some length of time in which the animal has to make noise in order for you to be cited. I discussed it with a resident. I discussed it with our chief of police as well. We think there's some benefit to moving towards a 15-minute limit. We think that 30 minutes seems a little long for a dog to bark continuously in one interval to be cited. So before you is a draft resolution that would keep everything the same as it is in the old existing ordinance, the only difference being that if your dog barks continuously for 15 minutes in one interval, you could then be cited. And I would like to add, however, that I don't know that we've really been in the business of citing anybody even under the existing ordinance of 30 minutes. There's issues with timing and who makes that determination. So it's more or less putting our ordinance in line with some of our neighbors.
Mayor and council reports.
Mayor?
Yes, Deputy Mayor Sapp.
I just wanted to report that Penn Hills, for the first time, was able to host space for the local government academy, to host 80 students to be taught right here at our government building. And I'm proud to say that I am a member of the board of directors there. I'm a graduate as well, and so is Scott Andre Jack. He's a graduate as well of the local government academy. And I'm also very proud and honored that we were able to host right here in Penn Hills in our new government center where you are the mayor. So I'm very excited that not only were you a student, but the mayor, so we had the class in your house, in your chambers, so I'm excited about that, and as well as Councilman Frank Bacora. So I'm very happy that we were able to host, and I want to say thank you to Scott Andre Chack, who helped me put that together, and it was a very successful event, and over 80 people from the local government academy had a chance to tour our building, which means there were several, all of them from different municipalities. And we got such compliments on our government center, as well as being able to welcome them here to see what Penn Hills is really about. And they were so surprised and impressed because all they hear are the negative things on the news. So when they came, all we heard was, wow, this is an amazing place. So we're so excited that we were able to host. And I'm so proud that you were there and in that class. And I'm also proud of you, Councilman Pecora. And thank you again, Scott, because you helped to make it a very successful day.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
Let me just mention Councilman Getzey was there as well.
Oh, Councilman Getzey, I do apologize. I do apologize. I didn't realize that you were in on that class now. I didn't see you in the beginning of the class, so you must have just jumped in. So thank you so much. It's an honor, and you had to be so proud, Councilman Getzey, to have that event hosted right here in your own chambers. So.
Thank you. No need to apologize.
Councilman Getzey, now would be the time to make your comments.
Okay. Back to the budget. As we talked earlier, as I spoke earlier about the budget needing to look at all the line items because of our budget deficit. And then we talked about the Memorial Day Parade and other events, and people rightfully supported those and said, you know, it's necessary. Now, going back to this, there are two items I would like to talk about, and I'm going to ask Manager Andrzejczyk to give his opinion on these after I present my issues. One is the firemen. As we all probably know, or has happened, the firemen, their line item was reduced by $107,000, if I recall that correctly, because of a loan that had been paid off. But they were not put into the budget for 2020, and this was an action that was taken. And there's an issue here, because I think if the firemen are deleted from the budget, they should at least get an indication of what their future is with the municipality. Are they deleted for this year? Will they be reinstated next year? Is this final, or is this room for negotiation? And I don't have an answer to this, or I can't support one side or the other, because I really don't know what the facts are. So what I want to say is, if Manager Andrzejczyk would like to address this, but I think the firemen should have some indication at this point of what their future is with the municipality, and I think the firemen should have the opportunity to report to the municipality on what their potential cost and anticipated cost for at least the next 5 years will be. And Manager Andrzejczyk, would you?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. First, I would I would like to let everyone know, and certainly let the firemen know, if there's any in the room, that when it comes to their future, I think I speak for Mayor and Council to say that they will continue to enjoy a lot of support from the municipality. The municipality in the 2019 budget increased their allocation. What was unfortunately removed was the $107,000 loan payment, and that wasn't something that anyone, including myself, was really happy about, but it was a sacrifice that we had to make in order to present the Mayor and Council with a balanced budget. Having said that, I've been working with the Fire Marshal to identify other ways of potentially filling that void. Right now, there's a federal grant that we're potentially pursuing that would pay for that equipment. That's something that we're pursuing as a municipality, to find a way to have a grant perhaps pay for that. In addition, we've looked at some financing options as well. So the fact that that was removed from the budget doesn't remove the necessity for the equipment. I think that when you ask about what they could expect in the next 5 years, I think a lot of it quite honestly has to deal a lot with what their needs are. One of the things that we're undertaking right now is a fire study. The state Department of Community and Economic Development has appointed an objective consultant to put together what our capital needs are. One of the things that we were pretty successful with in Penn Hills in the last 2 years was developing a capital improvement fund, where the directors and departments of Penn Hills put forward what their capital needs are over the next few years. So we're asking that of the fire departments as well. I don't know that there's anyone, and I certainly don't doubt that some of that equipment needs replaced, but what I would like to do, what I'm attempting to do, and I think what our fire marshal wants to do, is approach that in an intelligent manner to find out, what really is needed and how much is the bill for that going to be over how many years. And a lot of that has to do with what the fire study may come back with. A part of what that study is commissioned to do is to make long-term capital recommendations to Penn Hills, so we can find out a way to meet those needs. So just to summarize, I don't want to cover the same thing that I just said, but we are looking at a grant opportunity right now, the Fire Act grant. I think it's called the Assistance to Firefighters grant. It's a federal program, and we're also looking at some financing options as well. So it's not, they're not deleted from the budget.
Okay, well, thank you, because my observation was that this, I don't know, I won't say it's ended, but this was a little testy situation between the municipality and the fire department. And I'm not recommending one way or another, but I am saying, I think it's something that's subject to negotiation, and I think that both parties, excuse me, should reapproach this and work it out. Thank you. My second item is the senior center. Now, we talked earlier about how important the parades and parks and things like that are to the community. Everybody seemed to agree that is true, and so do I. But we have another issue here because the senior center was approached with an alternative use plan involving 5 employees. And it is to cut back the hours and, as I understand it, to have the employees serve as part-time. Now, I think this is an issue that has to be looked at also, because if we're supportive of, I'll say, entertainment-type activities, but yet the senior center is being approached as possibly losing funds, that it doesn't seem to be in concert with what the original intent was. And the thing that really bothers me most is if we're going to cut funds for anything, the thing I really don't like to see is people's livelihood being threatened, I'll say. Maybe it's too strong a term, by having their hours cut or their pay cut or their benefits reduced or eliminated. And Mr. Andrzejczyk, could you address that and kind of clarify where we stand on budget items and how this is all going to work out?
I'm not prepared to have that public discussion right now. The budget that was adopted by the mayor and council shows what it shows. It shows the level of service on the summary of the budget, how many employees there are. As you know, there's been some internal discussions and information shared internally with mayor and council about ways of potentially delivering that service for less cost. I think we have an obligation to look at that as part of what we do. But I'm not prepared to discuss that publicly this evening. I have had some internal discussions on ways of saving money with the director, and the county Department of Aging was a part of that as well. But I think it's premature as to what that might be.
Okay, thank you. But you mentioned that it was discussed internally in some ways. But it's common knowledge among people who are interested in the senior center that this was taking place. And all I want to say is that when we are looking at what is necessary in our community, I'd like to look at the things that support our staff people and not have 5 people bear the brunt of whatever budget decisions we're going to make before the entire budget is reviewed and before we can develop a program of how all these things are going to take place. Maybe that sounds a little convoluted, but I'll take any questions. Well, thank you. Thank you for listening.
Any further board comment? Councilman Petrucci, are you still there?
Yes, I'm still here. I'm still here.
So I can't see you, so did you have any comment? We're seeking mayor and council reports.
No, ma'am. Thank you.
So we, thank you, Councilman. We place a 3-minute time limit on the residents when you come up to speak. And as we sit here as public servants, I think that we should be held to the same standard. That's just my personal opinion. So I will ask the manager to please set the timer so I don't go over. First of all, you know, we do have decorum in this chamber, so it may sound formal that we say such things, how we address each other as we do, but we are making a record here, and we do have to keep with the decorum, and we do have to keep with the legality of the record. Having said that, you know, I'm new at this too, but I would like to keep with that. So fortunately, there was not a particularly controversial issue tonight other than the spelling of Attorney Finoletto's name. But so that we don't get into a position in the future that if there is a controversial issue, so it doesn't look as if we are selectively choosing who can speak, we will keep with the public comment first and then the board comment. That's not only for decorum, it is for fairness and to keep with the record. I will say that I was very, very, very extremely proud of this facility. You don't realize what you have until you see what other people don't have. We had so many people come here and they were so impressed, and it was daylight and the sun was coming through here. It was really cool. They reached over, hit a button, and these are blinds back here that just automatically went. Truly, every single municipality has challenges. I spoke with a councilman from Sewickley. There's a man by the name of Lemieux. You may have heard of him. He's a hockey player, and he owns a little team. He lives in Sewickley, and they had to take a, they didn't have to, but they chose to take out a tax anticipation note. That's a very common practice. So they're even doing that in Sewickley. I would like to point out that I was misquoted in the newspaper in terms of between myself and Councilman Petrucci. I was also, a quote was omitted. I said that it was very admirable to me that Councilman Petrucci was taking a look at items. So please know that I'm happy to work with everyone here, and I respect his efforts. I personally would like to go back to 2 meetings a month. I know that some of my counterparts here disagree with that. And then, so what I would like to consider is maybe we have something, and I think the manager called it a special interest meeting. So for example, I spoke with officials at Elkasan. One of the things that will be happening is I spoke about getting a sort of like how you can get assistance for utility bills. I'd like to get maybe assistance for the sewer bill. So maybe those meetings can be used for issues like that. In addition to that, I would like to say that I am happy to hear about appointments from anyone. Please do not think that I'm dragging my feet on these appointments. They're very, very important. They're quasi-professional. The individuals who were appointed to these boards and commissions and committees are subject to the state ethics laws. So I really, really want to make sure that we have, for their sake as well as ours, that we have the best candidates in place. Having said that, now I feel compelled to use my 3 minutes, and yet I'm done. Thank you so much. I'm very, very proud to be here. I'm proud of our facility. Having said that, may I get a motion for adjournment?
Mayor Calabrese?
Yes, Deputy Mayor Sapp.
I'd like to make a motion for adjournment.
Do I need a second for that?
Second.
We are so adjourned.
You don't. I didn't even do the audit. Thank you very much.
Good to see you. You bet. Come on, let's check it out, huh? I see Ronnie and Darla.